All right, everybody. Good morning. Happy Saturday. We're almost there. We are almost there. About 30 and a half hours away from kickoff in Santa Clara against the New England Patriots. Playing for it all. One final game to determine who is the Super Bowl champion for the season. Super Bowl 60, right around the corner, and my team is in it. And that's not something that happens all the time. That's not something you can expect to happen every year. So I've appreciated everything about the lead up to this game. I've appreciated everything the team has done this year, but they got one more game to go win. And we got stuff to talk about. I've been talking about it the last couple weeks. But look, I didn't expect the team to be here this year. Most people didn't. But that doesn't mean that I want this any less than I do. All right, everybody, before we go any further into this video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about the Sleeper app. We are just about to the Super Bowl. Now would be a great time to get on Sleeper. It's a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. Celebrate and chat about sports in real time with other users. You can get scores, you can get news, you get alerts with blazing fast speed, all kinds of sports stuff. You can play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. Enjoy sports together with a community. Download the Sleeper app today. And when you do, use promo code SBN for up to $100 match on your first deposit. And also utilize the free $20 entry with no deposit required. All you have to do is make an account for that one. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper and have some fun with sports this year. All right, so we've got a full season of work from both these teams this year. Seahawks, they've played 19 games. Patriots have played 20 games. So the evidence is out there. We know everything that we need to know about these two teams. The only question is, how does it manifest itself on the field on Sunday? And for my part, I'll say, and to make it clear, I think pretty much every Seahawks fan and most neutral observers and even a decent number of Patriots fans would acknowledge the Seahawks of these two teams are the better team. They've done more impressive things this season. But this game is not to test who the best team is. It's to test which team plays the best for 3.5 hours on Sunday. So go do that. Because if we go through the next couple of decades knowing or believing that this Seahawks team was the best team in the league, but that they didn't get it done on Super Bowl Sunday, that's going to be a tough thing to live with. And it's going to be even tougher for these players and coaches to live with. I know they think they have the best team. I know they think they've had the best season. And I think they're probably right. I know they feel like on some level, whether or not they're willing to allow themselves to react to it, whether or not they're allowing themselves to think like it, there is some part of them that thinks the Super Bowl was 2 weeks ago against the Rams. But if you do not take care of business tomorrow afternoon, then you can take it to the bank and get laughed at because it doesn't mean anything. So that's just the first thing right off the bat. Like, we can talk about X's and O's, we can talk about strategy, we can talk about matchups, but make sure you go out there and you don't have any regrets. Because the bottom line is, 2 weeks ago, that game against the Rams, that wasn't the Super Bowl. It might feel like it. We may end up looking back on it as the real Super Bowl, but right now it's not. The Super Bowl is going to get played tomorrow, and if you don't win it, still a great season, but that's one that you may never get over, and you may never get that opportunity back. All right, so I have spent the last couple of weeks making a handful of videos talking about the various elements of this game in detail. So if you watch those videos, you have a pretty decent idea of the things I'm going to talk about. But there's some other stuff as well that I want to get into throughout this video. Just kind of breaking down the various aspects of this game. And basically just kind of drilling down to where the game can be won, where the game can be lost. and talking about the things that I would go after, the things that I would keep an eye on, and ultimately just hoping that the team goes out there and plays the game that I know they're capable of playing. Because I believe that if this Seahawks team plays at the level that they are capable of playing, if they play to their potential, they play hard, and they play smart, the rest will take care of itself. Because I believe that this game is in their hand. Not that they can't lose it, but I believe it is up to this Seahawks team. And as long as they do their job, they will end up on top. That's how I feel. So with that in mind, let's start with the Seahawks offensively. This matchup is obviously the one that at this point is probably a little more intimidating, but at the same time, the offense has earned our trust in the last couple of weeks where they played brilliantly against defenses that are probably not as good as this Patriots defense. But how good is the Patriots defense? I'm not so sure. I think they're better than both defenses that we played in the playoffs. They're certainly better than the Niners. The Niners were incredibly beat up at that point, and they didn't really have a chance against us. And as good as the Rams were for most of the season, the last couple months, they were bad. And I do think that by the time we played them, not necessarily because of injuries, but just because of some weird attrition, they were not very good. And I do think this Patriots defense brings more to the table than the Rams defense did 2 weeks ago. However, is it an elite defense? Some of the numbers would say yes, but those numbers, sometimes it's kind of hard to judge how much you should use those numbers. And I know people are sick of talking about it, but it cannot be ignored here. Look at who this team has played. Look at who New England has gone up against. And you start looking at the offenses they've gone up against this year, playing the Jets twice, playing the Dolphins twice, the Browns, the Saints, the Buccaneers after they got ripped apart by injuries. It goes on and on and on. And then, of course, in the postseason, they get the Chargers with no offensive line, the Texans with no offensive line and no receivers, and Denver with no quarterback. It's tough to really judge what they are defensively. Are they as elite as some of the numbers indicate? I suspect the answer is probably no. But it's still better than the defenses we played in our playoff games so far. It's probably the best defense we've played since maybe the week 11 game against the Rams, because that's when the Rams defense was actually playing pretty good. Maybe it's the best defense we played since Houston. Like, it's not like this Seattle team has played a lot of elite defenses in recent times, especially if you acknowledge the fact that the Rams fell off a cliff. So what I'm going to say is this. I made a video the other day talking about weaknesses in the Patriots secondary I would love to attack, namely their nickel corner and their starting strong safety. Marcus Jones is a decent player, but he's really, really small. I think if you get Cooper Kupp or even JSN on him in the slot, it's GG, just because of the size difference. And I'm also looking at Craig Woodson, rookie safety. He's had a pretty decent year, but he's kind of gotten beat up in coverage. I think those are some guys you can go at, especially because Woodson's a rookie. But I definitely don't want to get away from the identity of this team. And we're going to have to find a way to run the ball on a Patriots team that is capable of being very good against the run, but we're going to have to fight our way through that. We're going to have to fight our way through that interior defense, which I have talked about a lot the last couple weeks. To me, the one area where New England might be able to carve up a serious advantage in this game is their interior. Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, and Tonga. That's probably going to be their three-man rotation most of the game. I don't know if anybody else is going to play. That is kind of the seat of their power to me. And when you look at our interior, Trey Zabel is playing good, but he's a rookie. Watch out for the rookies in this Super Bowl. They can be playing good. They can be doing their job. Things can be going awesome, but it's a big stage. Jalen Sundell, he's good. He's playing pretty well lately, but I still think he can be overmatched against some of these good defensive tackles in the league. And Anthony Bradford, who is going to give you some lowlights, and some of those lowlights may involve him whiffing on Milton Williams or Christian Barmore. And when Milton Williams has played this year, New England's run defense has been very good. I don't think they've allowed more than 55 rushing yards to any one running back. Now, they've had some games where they got run on a little bit overall, but generally speaking, when Milton Williams plays for the Patriots, they stop the run pretty well. So you're going to have to really put Ken Walker, who is playing the best football of his life through his paces. I think you're going to have to run to the outside. I think you're going to have to get the ball to him in space. And I think very good things can happen for you. I don't believe this is some elite run defense. I think it is a good run defense that can be had. I think that you want to put Walker in situations where he can use his speed, because I think this Patriots defense isn't super fast. And with guys like Landry and Spillane playing at probably significantly less than 100%, you want to try to make those guys work, and you want to see if they can hold up. Can you get the edge with Walker on pitch plays? Can you hit outside zone runs with Walker? You know the Patriots are going to live in that light box. They like the light box more than most other teams. So you are going to want to test the middle some, but I want to be careful with that because I think they have the advantage in the middle. So I definitely want to try to get Walker on the outside. Also put Marcus Jones in situations where he might have to tackle. I don't think he's particularly strong at it. And being so undersized, it's just hard for him to tackle players anyway. Excuse me. And I want Walker to get the ball a lot. And I definitely want to see what New England does when it comes to JSN. Are they going to just sick Gonzo on him all game? Or are they just kind of going to live with wherever it is he goes and let JSN dictate who guards him from play to play? We'll see. But that's what I'm thinking about on offense. Obviously, the key overall when you look at the offense versus the Patriots defense is going to be pressure. New England does not get a lot of pressure. They are decent at getting pressure, and their top pressure guy, Harold Landry, is clearly not 100%. He did not play against Denver. He barely played against Houston. He's barely practiced the last 3 weeks. So there are problems there. Without him, you've got Chison over on the other side, who's been good. And there isn't really a ton else in terms of rushing the passer that New England does that'll really knock your socks off. They don't have a great edge. They don't have, they're not a high blitzing team. They blitz at about an average rate. It's just kind of middle of the road in that regard. So teams have really liked to blitz Sam Darnold this year. I don't know if New England's going to do that or not. But I'll say this. This offensive line, I don't know if they've played very many interior defensive lines better than this Patriots team, but they did get it done 2 weeks ago against a much better defensive line. Even with Verse not having his best year, Byron Young, even with his injury, and then you've got Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Poona Ford. That is a much better crop of defensive linemen than what New England can throw at you. So if you were able to handle your business against the Rams, you should be able to hold up and give Darnold time in the pocket in this game. And I believe that if you give Darnold time and you allow him to play relatively unfettered football like he did against the Niners and like he did somewhat against the Rams, you'll be fine. You will be fine. I'm not worried about Darnold throwing the game away. He has earned my trust. That's not to say that he can't do it, but I think that if you are a Seahawks fan, whatever your feelings were on Darnold before that Rams game, you just have to shrug your shoulders and say he's the man until he proves otherwise. New England's defense, one thing that they do pretty well is their flexibility. They are flexible in going from different looks and different schemes and different approaches. But I don't think this is the kind of super tricky defense that is going to be able to throw a lot of stuff at you. It's not a Brian Flores defense. It's not a defense filled with a lot of twists and stunts, which is something the Rams do that gives him trouble sometimes. It's just another good defense to me, but I would not say it's a great defense, and I believe that it can be had on both sides. So, comfortable with that matchup. Kubiak, one last game as a Seahawk, make it a good one. and I think we'll be good on that end. So that's how I feel about that side of the ball. And then when the Seahawks are on defense, and this is where things can potentially get fun. Like, I think our offense will do fine against the Patriots defense, but I don't think it's gonna be some 50-point blowout, of course. I don't think we're gonna throw up a ton of points on them. I don't think we're gonna be putting up ridiculous numbers. I think it'll just be a normal, workable game. The defense. I need everything that Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, DeMarcus Lawrence, Uchenna Nwosu, Boye Mafe, Derek Hall, throw Jaron Reed in there. I need everything those guys have for this game. If we can get pressure with 4, and we should be able to in theory, this is not a very good Patriots offensive line. This is one of the lesser offensive lines we have played, I would say, this year, especially right now. If we can get pressure with 4, and mostly the front 4, I think we're fine. It would be very hard for us to lose this game if we consistently get pressure without having to blitz. Drake May beats the blitz really well. Drake May has had a very good season against the blitz. We tried to blitz Stafford a little bit last week, and every time we did, it felt like he beat us up. I know we're a good blitzing team in general, but this is a game where you're looking at that Patriots offensive line. Will Campbell, I don't know if he's really a tackle. He's had a decent year, but his playoffs have been brutal. When he's gone up against the better edge rushers in the league in the postseason, because he didn't have to deal with a ton of them during the regular season, he has been kind of bad. And the injury he had in the regular season that he's probably still not completely over doesn't help. And he's a rookie. You got Will Campbell starting at left tackle. You got Jared Wilson, another rookie starting at left guard. By the way, Jared Wilson is not a left guard. Jared Wilson is a center playing out of position this year because that's where they need him. He hasn't been very good. And I think he's gotten beat up in the playoffs, maybe worse than Campbell. And then Garrett Bradbury at center, who is kind of the definition of a replacement level center. Honestly, I think Jalen Sundell is probably a little bit better than him, and Sundell's not great. So that whole left side of the offensive line, not much. I don't have a lot of respect for that side of the offensive line. The other side, Michael Wenwu's pretty nice. Big dude. Big 350-pound burly right guard. And then you've got Morgan Moses, the ageless one at right tackle. Nice player. Had a great career. Having a pretty good year. But that left side, you should be able to do some serious damage on that group. And you should be able to win a lot without having to overcommit to it. I'm not saying you can't cook up some simulated pressures. You can't come up with some creative ways to get to Drake May. But you should not need to blitz to get pressure on him. So that to me is the number one thing in this game. If our front line cannot get pressure, and look, I've made videos in recent weeks talking about how this team is not getting pressure the way they were earlier in the season. But you look at the teams they played, teams like the Rams, teams like the Colts with Phillip Rivers, teams like the 49ers even. These are teams that either have good offensive lines, they have quarterbacks who understand how to not get pressured, or both. So Drake May is a different cat. Now, I will say this. Drake May kind of combines some of the dangerous stuff with Brock Purdy with the dangerous stuff with Matt Stafford, right? The thing with Brock Purdy was his mobility and escapability and ability to go get yards with his legs. That was the main thing. But Brock Purdy doesn't have a big enough arm to make all the throws, which is why it ultimately feels like to me that this Seahawks team is going to have a lot of success against him when we play him, because this defense knows how to force him to try to make those throws he can't make consistently, and then it's just GG. Matt Stafford, he has the arm to make all the throws, but he doesn't have mobility. Drake May has both. So that is one thing to watch for here. He can take off and scramble and make plays with his legs and buy time. and he's got the arm to make every throw. He's not as good as Stafford, but he has that arm. But one thing going on in this game, Drake May likes to hold on to the ball a long time. Drake May often tries to do too much, and you can get him that way. Unlike somebody like Stafford, who really understands when to go for it and when to not, which is why he basically made no mistakes against the Seahawks in the 2 games we played them the last couple of months. Drake May can be put into situations where he panics. You can show him stuff that he has not seen before, and you can make him play in a way that is right into your hands. So, yes, he is going to use his legs some in this game. Yes, he is going to scramble for a first down or 2, I'm sure. He's going to bide time with his legs. But if you continue to put pressure on him without blitzing, eventually he's going to make a throw into the teeth of the defense, because when he gets hurried, when he gets harassed, he wants to go deep. He wants to go make a big play. And for the most part, this Seahawks team, they don't give up big plays. They gave up a bunch to the Rams. Other than that, they don't give up big plays. So force that, you can get the ball. And the thing to also keep in mind here, this Patriots team, not great receivers. A couple weeks ago, you're playing Puka Nacua, one of the best receivers in the game. Devontae Adams, I know he's not 100%, but he is a future Hall of Famer. And they got good tight ends in LA as well. This Patriots team, Stephon Diggs, over the hill. I know he's had a good season, but I think he's probably overextended being the number 1 receiver on this Patriots team. I don't think he's that guy anymore. I don't think he's a true number 1. I think that in a perfect world, Stephon Diggs would be occupying a similar role to the one that Cooper Kupp has for the Seahawks this year. But the Patriots needed him to be a number 1, so he is. But I don't think he's that guy anymore. Little bit of juice left, but not a lot. Mac Hollins doesn't really get open. Mac Hollins is not really a guy who creates separation. He makes contested catches and pretty decent player, but I don't see anything there that is striking fear into me. Tayshaun Boutte, good deep threat, but ultimately just kind of a guy. Hunter Henry, there's something there, right? He's a good tight end. But again, he's not one of the best tight ends in the league. So these skill position players, these pass catchers, they're not bad, but they are well below the standard of the best in the league. So I believe that if we can get pressure without blitzing and we're allowed to drop 7 into coverage against these receivers, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day for Drake May. If we're not giving him easy throws because of blitzes, and we're not giving him the opportunity to hit wide open guys because of busted coverages or because we had to send the house, then I think we're in great shape. And that also goes for the running backs, although I don't really know what's going on with the Patriots running backs right now. We know we got Stevenson. Stevenson is good, but again, I'll say I don't think he's some elite player. I don't know what's going on with Travion Henderson. What I will say is that I think it's probably the right move for New England to play a lot of Stevenson in this game, because the Seahawks, who had the best run defense in the NFL in the regular season, if they have a weakness, it is inside running with a powerful back. And that is what Stevenson is. He's bigger. He runs north-south. He likes to get in between the tackles. And he does run with a little bit of pop. So I do think that whatever's going on with Henderson right now, Stevenson makes sense as a lead back. So I don't think the New England strategy in the backfield is going to change too much in this game from the Denver game, maybe a little bit. So I expect a lot of Stevenson. But the thing is, the reason why the Rams run the ball pretty well against the Seahawks, they are like the one team that had significant success on the ground against the Seahawks this year, it feels like. The main reason why that is because it's not just running inside with a power back. It's having the biggest, most burly interior offensive line in football. That's what the Rams have. They have invested resources into building that interior line. Patriots don't have that. They've got two centers starting basically because, like I said, Jared Wilson's a center. And you've got Garrett Bradbury, who is, like I said, kind of just okay. And you've got Michael Wenwu, who I like Wenwu, but that is not anywhere near what the Rams have. So it's not the same. They can try to emulate it, but I don't believe that they're going to be able to replicate the success. And it's not like the Rams gashed us on the ground. They were ultimately fairly successful on the ground, but it's not like they gashed us. And Kyren Williams is probably a better running back than either Stevenson or Henderson, either way. Okay, so I think that's really all that need to be said. I trust this defense. I know they had a bad game against the Rams, but this Patriots offense does not have what the Rams offense has. Maybe they have about as good a play caller. Maybe. I don't know. It depends on how you feel about McDaniels. Obviously, he's very good at it, but is he better than McVay? I don't know. But they don't have as good a quarterback. They don't have as good a backfield. They don't have nearly as good a wide receivers. And they certainly don't have the offensive line. So I'm feeling good. We have a special teams advantage. We definitely have a better special teams group. If one of these teams is going to make a special teams play to break the game open, it's probably going to be the Seahawks. So I line it up. And other than the interior offensive line stuff that I talked about earlier, the most compelling argument you can make for the Patriots is that they have a better quarterback. Drake May is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. He's been better this year, and he does more for that team. But is that going to overcome everything else? Go watch last year's Super Bowl and tell me how that worked out for the Chiefs and the Eagles. I'm going with Seahawks 30-20. I think we'll roughly handle it. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I don't think this Patriots team plays in a way that is conducive to getting blown out. But I think we got it. If not, then it's going to hurt. But hey, I'm not going anywhere on this channel. All right, so very long video. Again, usually try to make them not this long. But I thought that a Super Bowl preview warranted it, and there was so much to talk about. I just decided to go ahead and let it fly. This is going to end up being about a half-hour long video. Sorry to anybody who doesn't like the long videos, but I only get to do this how often? I might never get to do another Super Bowl preview again. So, let me rock with it. So 30-20 Seahawks, MVP. I'll go with Ken Walker. I'll say Ken Walker's MVP. I don't feel confident about that, though. I think it could be a lot of different guys. I think you could see Darnold win it easily. I think you could see somebody on defense win it. JSN could win it. I don't feel like there's an obvious pick here because game flow is going to dictate that, and that's a lot harder to predict. But the thing that matters is that when it's over, I think that this Seahawks team will be the Super Bowl champion for the season, and they will be recognized universally as the best team in the league for the season. But they got to go out there and prove it. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. And I hope the team does the right stuff tomorrow. If they push the right buttons and they play hard and they play smart, I'll say it again. I think it's theirs. I think that's what it comes down to. But that doesn't mean they will. All right. Go Hawks.